Welcome to First and Now, your weekly look inside the Lions Den, presented by Coors Light, the official beer and chill choice of the BC Lions. Get ready for highlights, exclusive interviews, and a preview of this week's big game. Now, here are your hosts, Nick Kowalski, Bob Marjanovic, and Matt Baker.
Snap is good, hold is good, kick is up, and it's good! Sean White from 43 yards has walked it off for the Lions as they come back to beat the Alouettes 21-20 on the road.
Yeah, I could listen to that a few more times. I have. It is First and Now. Welcome, everybody. Matt Baker alongside Bob Marjanovic, Nick Kowalski. We are on location here at Goodco, Granville, 965 Granville to be precise. Shout out to Jason and the crew here. We'll get into all the specials and everything going on. It's our second on location of the year. And yeah, we'll start there, Moj. I probably listened to that final call 5 or 6 times. How much of a fun game was that for you to call alongside Julio?
Oh, I thought the game was a great game in terms of how the outcome, the Lions winning. But you know, it's interesting when I look at the game. I'm looking at the entire body of work, right? I mean, it's easy just to hop on and look at that field goal and have a great feeling. And yeah, I mean, the fellas found a way to pull it out. But I love Buck Pierce's speech at the end of the game when he was addressing the team in the locker room, and he talked about the fact that it's about the process. And there's a lesson that I learned many moons ago when I was coaching at UBC. We had a playoff game against Calgary at home. We went into overtime. Our kicker went down, missed a field goal. They get the ball back, their field goal. They come down, their field goal kicker hits. We lose the game.
Yeah.
Right? And I remember walking to our facility like on Monday or Tuesday, whatever it was, and I'm thinking to myself, if we hit that field goal, we're looking at this game from a totally different perspective. How the defense clutched up, how the offense moved the ball when they had to. You know, we'd be looking at all the positive sides in that game, rather than looking at what occurred, and that was the fact that we lost. And now you're looking at it through a different lens, right? And the point that I'm trying to make is, yeah, it was great to win the game, but you have to look at the entire body of work, right? And I think that's what Buck Pierce is talking about, and he's talking about that process. There are a lot of things to clean up with this team. And I'm not trying to be a naysayer or kind of rain on the parade, but I'll say this, and I've said this right from the get-go. This team is going to get stronger as the year moves along. As the coaching staff learns what players can and can't do, as players learn what the coaching staff expects from them. In the past couple of years, this team has got off to great starts, and as a result, it's kind of hid the warts because the process wasn't being followed, and it eventually caught up to them. This year, I think it's going to be the other way around. I think you're going to see if these players continue to follow the process, this team is going to get much stronger as the season progresses.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because talking or helping out with the post-game media availabilities with Buck Pierce, Nathan Rourke. We spoke to Micah Alway as well. It was cautious excitement, right? Everyone acknowledges they took whatever it was, 11 penalties for 146 yards. There was some lack of finish on offense. You think of a brilliant first drive to start, it ends with an interception, but and Nathan Rourke even told us we have to be better, and that's a refreshing angle to have.
Well, Moji goes back to what you were emphasizing these past couple of weeks when talking about the Wally Bonoism, where he said there's 5 plays in a game where if they go your way, that usually means you win, and if they don't, that usually means you lose. And down the stretch in that fourth quarter, those plays went the Lions' way. And yeah, Buck Pierce was definitely emphasizing this too, that you don't get too high when you win and you don't get too low when you lose. But I mean, man, from our side of things, as a videographer, a content creator, with that atmosphere around, like I was getting chills.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, celebrate the win, and I'm sure the 24-hour rules in effect. Go out there, enjoy what you got to do, but when you come back to work the next day, it's time to forget about it and move on, right? And I think that's what I like about what Buck Pierce is trying to instill with this team. And you talked about it, Nick, and that's being even keel. And again, focusing on the process, but to get caught up in the emotion of the game, of course. And hey, you know what? Montreal made a couple of mistakes, and the fellows took advantage of it, right? I mean, the roughing penalty on the field goal, which backed up Malto's 15 yards. I talked to Buck after the game. That's 2 plays, right? That's 15, 30, 20 yards. And even he said, I don't know if we have enough time, right, if that was the case. But because of that penalty, it gave the team a little bit of a cushion in what they could do in terms of hitting the pass. And even on the last play of the game, fellas, or pardon me, the second to last play, I don't know what Noel Thorpe's thinking. Hey, let's play prevent and have everybody 30 yards back, and they only need 8 yards to get into range for Shaun White. The only thing that I'm thinking of, he's saying there's no way they can execute a play with 3.1 seconds on the clock and get down in time for, to still have some time on the clock. Well, guess what? You were wrong, right?
Yeah.
So,
and it's no diss to the prior regime, but we saw Buck Pierce working on situational awareness, talking about it, preaching it. And that's a play where, 2023, there's that infamous game.
Dom Rhymes.
Yeah, the gravy ball. There's
the first thing I thought about is Katoy caught that ball. Yeah.
I mentioned it to Javon after the game. I was seeing Dom Rhymes all over again, and he just started laughing, and he was smart enough to hit the deck. And, that's something that he probably learned from that experience, right? So, and no disrespect to Dom Rhymes, because he was obviously trying to score a touchdown, but in that situation, you got to get down, and that's what Javon did. And as a result, Shaun White, and by the way, let's not forget about Shaun White here, fellas.
For sure.
This guy is like a money kicker. Like, he is just money when he is needed. And, man, don't take him for granted, because I remember a game in Toronto a couple of years ago where I think we tried 3 field goal attempts in the fourth quarter, and they were all wide, and we wound up losing by 2 points or something.
I think it was 1.
That was
it hit the goalpost.
it was 2 or 3.
It was at least 2. You're talking about the Jimmy Camacho game in Toronto.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm talking about White. I'm talking about White.
No, I'm not talking about Shaun White. I'm talking about Jimmy Camacho in Toronto.
Oh, I'll never forget it. Halloween weekend.
Yes. Like 0 for 3 within range, and team lost by 2 points or something in that game.
Yeah, that was Halloween weekend in Toronto, and it was a scary kicking situation.
Don't take Shaun White for granted. Be nice to him too. He's 47, 48 now.
Well, he's missed what?
Close.
He's missed 3. He's missed 9 field goals since he came back to the BC Lions in 2022. It's ridiculous.
What about that TSN stat? 7 of 8 in game-changing field goals within the last 3 minutes.
Inside of 3 minutes to either win or force overtime, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Either to win or force overtime. And he's had a heck of a year. He's 9 for 9. There was a convert block, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, I'm sure, Moj. But 9 for 9 on the year, and he has moved past Terry Baker into 10th spot on the CFL's all-time scoring list. I believe, according to our little number crunching we've done here, Nick, he needs 87 more points to get to 9th and catch Dave Cutler. Rene Paredes above Cutler in 8th, and he's still active, of course. So those two showing no signs of slowing down. It'll be fun to see White continue to climb these record books. And I think he's 41, Moj. So I know you're having some fun there. But 41, he's young.
Well, he is. But, again, credit to the fellas. And here's the one thing I love about that game. This group, and every year it's a new group, right? Every year you have a new team. But this group now has a reference point that, hey, we've been in a tough game, and we won a tough game, right? And you need that. You need to have those reference points so that when you get in those situations, you face that type of adversity, and you came out on top. Because remember the year that, was it Claybrooks? Remember we had the Japanese kicker?
That was funny.
Was that Claybrooks?
No, that was crazy enough. That was the same year as Jimmy Camacho, where Takeru Yamasaki was here for the first 3 games that year.
Yeah, but those 3 or 4 games were really tight, and they wound up losing all of them. They might have won 1.
Nathan's first start.
And the thing
Saskatchewan.
is, after that, it just kind of spiraled. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It just, the whole season was kind of lost. But, the team won one or two of those games. Maybe they had some confidence moving forward. Maybe it could have been a different year. I don't know. But I just always look at the fact that you need to have that reference point as a group that you can go into a tough situation, you can face the adversity and come out on top. And the other thing, too, is you learn to trust your teammates. Right?
Yes.
You learn that the guy beside you is going to get his job done. All I got to do is worry about mine. I don't need to be Superman. As Belichick says, just do your damn job.
Yeah, well, the elephant in the room, too, and we're going to talk about it, Nathan Rourke was back, too, right? And that's why this offense looked different. I think you saw it from the very first play from scrimmage where Nathan rushes for a first down. Any worries you have about that oblique there, I think they're out the window. Keon Hatcher and Justin McInnes.
First off, just to let you know, the oblique is located in your abdomen, so if you're running, it's really not an issue.
You can still pull it. Ask Nathan. Non-contact. But guys like Keon Hatcher and Justin McInnes, they've been proven to be reliable guys. Even that game winner from Hamilton in 2023 with Sean, Dane Evans was that quarterback, and immediately he goes to Hatch on a couple in-breaking routes, and it was a carbon copy last week too, where Nathan, the guy he's looking to in those clutch situations, is Keon Hatcher Sr., and he's been money all year.
A couple of catches in that last drive as well.
Exactly, that's what I'm talking. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Last drive, right to Keon.
And Nathan Rourke is going to join us on location here coming up in segment 3. We're going to speak with linebacker Josh Woods, another guy who was back in the lineup. Woodsy good enough to join us here in about 5 minutes or so, but we'll continue quickly wrapping up the win in Montreal. We'll start continue to promote the Watermelon Smash, some exciting announcements about July 19th to come before we're done here in the 10 o'clock hour on CKNW, but we have to touch on it. A little bit of fireworks post-game behind the bench. I wouldn't even call it that. It was kind of based on what some people are talking about.
Don't get me going.
Well,
You're gonna get me going, Baker.
Say your piece now.
Well, first off, Brian Burke, the former president and general manager of the Canucks, one time was talking about an incident that occurred on the ice, and he says that you ask these athletes to play at such a highly emotional level, to give you everything they got on the field in terms of both physically and emotionally. And guess what? Sometimes they cross the line, right? Sometimes bleep happens, right?
It's emotional, yeah.
And we've seen it in every sport. And we saw it at the end of the game in Montreal, all right? I looked at tape. I watched it over and over. And to me, it was a couple of guys, a couple of punches thrown, and then a whole bunch of milling about. It wasn't some sort of Pier 6 brawl where there was punches being thrown left, right, and center. There were a couple of fights, all right?
Yeah.
So, to come out and call that shameful, as one local scribe did, to me, it's comical, right? Is it right? No, but it happens. Now, by the way, that same individual, who I'm not going to name because I don't want people to go firing off on the internet and look at the story because then he gets more clicks. He had a take on Kyle Nelson on the Letcher punt return, right?
Yep.
And he called it the equivalent of a red card in CONCACAF action or something, as Kyle Nelson leg whipped Letcher as he was being pancaked. Okay, first off, Kyle Nelson wasn't leg whipping anybody. He didn't even touch Letcher's leg. It was Gagne, the Montreal player, who actually was engaged with Kyle Nelson. If there was anything in that play, he was trying to draw a penalty of blocking in the back. All right?
Yep.
So to ridicule a player over that, horrible take. A horrible take. You want to talk about shameful too? Okay? You allegedly cover the BC Lions, okay?
Yep.
This individual hasn't been on one practice ever. Not this week, not this month, not this year. Ever. You want to be taken seriously, be a pro. Do your homework. Go to practice if you're covering this team. I see Jay Janowar from Global out there all the time. I see Steve Ewan from the province out there all the time. J.J. Adams when he was around. Hell, Ben Abel shows up every so often with his podcast.
Golden V, yep.
And yet this individual who covers this for a, quote, major website has never been to one practice. Can you imagine Ben Kuzma covering the Canucks? Ben Kuzma's been out to Lions practice this year, for crying out loud.
He has, yep.
You know, if you want to be taken seriously, show up to practice, do your homework. Maybe then the players and coaches and some people might actually respect your opinion, because right now a lot of people don't. And I'll leave it at that.
And all I'll say about that is, give him credit. He reached out to me looking for the Lions side of it, and I spoke to Kamoko Toure, and that ended up in the post-game story. But there, from the same publication, there was someone else in Montreal who was actually in Buck Pierce's post-game scrum and didn't bring it up, didn't ask about it. And yet in his coverage, all you're getting is Montreal's side of it, which I thought was
Monday. Who's available Monday to talk to?
Buck Pierce.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did anybody we know show up there in terms of like we're talking about?
Yeah, few guys. Yeah.
What about the person we're talking about?
Don't think so. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, if you're at practice too, you'd see the discipline factor. You'd see Baker getting shredded at practice, doing all the push-ups for any penalties. But they've been going down lately, right? So that's
well, the penalties weren't an issue the first 3 games, fellas.
No.
The first 3 games, this team was playing. They're getting flagged maybe 3-4 times a game. The last couple of games, it has become a bit of an issue. But
right. Yeah, I think we've all done more push-ups in the last a month and a half than we.
But they're going
speaking
down.
For myself, they're going down.
Kamloops 50 a day.
We did 80 one day in Kamloops, I think. 8 rounds, 8 offsides. Yeah.
Nip those problems in the butt.
Yeah. All right. You're fired up tonight. Love it. And we're fired up to be here. 965 Granville, Goodco. First and Now, presented by World Vision Canada and Coors Light, of course. And as mentioned, we've got a jam-packed show on location. Nathan Rourke will speak with us before the hour is out. We have Nick Kowalski's world-famous trivia. I'm excited. We're under pressure.
I heard it's a theme tonight.
Is there a theme? What's the theme tonight? Well, we'll go in cold.
Could be around a certain Canadian quarterback.
Could be one of our guests.
Yeah. Julio Caravana?
Maybe.
Awesome.
Jesse Palmer. No.
Brandon Bridge?
Yeah. All right, Josh Woods, BC Lions linebacker, coming up in a matter of moments. This is First and Now on 730 CKNW and wherever you get your podcasts. Back in a moment at Goodco.
You're listening to more of First and Now, presented by Coors Light. Once again, here are Nick Kowalski, Bob Marjanovic, and Matt Baker.
First and Now, originating this evening from Goodco Granville. $4 Coors Lights, $17 Smash Burgers. Shout out to Jason and the entire staff here. Hey, time flies, guys. Seems like only yesterday we were here for our season kickoff event, and here we are in week 6. It's good to be here, and we are thrilled to be joined tableside with 5th year. I have that right?
Yeah.
Speaking of time flying, BC Lions linebacker Josh Woods, fresh off his season debut. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm just glad to be back, honestly.
Yeah, expand on that. Talk about the process. I think, was it week 5 last year when you went down? Something like that?
Game 4.
Week 4, against Edmonton at home. And, how can you put it into a few words the last year or so, the rehab, the uncertainty? What was it like?
I mean, it was devastating. Just the way the year was starting and the momentum I thought we had, and I think defense we had, we're getting better and better every week. The week before, Ben Claddick kind of got banged up, and then I get taken out, and then our momentum kind of went downhill. It's been a long process over the past year, but I'm glad I'm on the other side of it, man. Just blessed to be out there and be running around, smiling, laughing, having fun playing ball again.
You mentioned Ben Claddick. I'm sure there was other teammates involved during the process when you were looking to get back. Who'd you lean on? Who helped support you along the way?
I mean, it was everybody, man. I mean, Ben, of course, you have guys like Max, guys like Mackey, the O-line, pretty much everybody on the O-line, every defense, coaches from Travis Brown to RP and Coach Benny. Coach Benny was, even before he was a DC, I mean, he was checking on me every few weeks, honestly, even all offseason. Before he was named the DC, he was checking on me every month. So I appreciate everybody in the organization, all the fans and everybody, even around the CFL, other players from other teams as well, just checking on me and seeing how the thing was going. And it's been cool. I mean, the past few weeks, just seeing other guys that have come back from ACLs on other teams, talking to them, and guys reaching out to me before the game once they know I was playing, just telling me, happy to see you back out there. Even during the game, talking to Davis Alexander. He's on the sideline. I'm like, you good? And he's like, you good? And he was like, I'm happy to see you back out here. I said, appreciate it. I want to see you back here too. So it's cool seeing like the CFL fraternity kind of, show love and help me along the way.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's wearing the same jersey when a guy goes down, right? Mm-hmm. You want to see, because all the athletes, they understand the commitment and the sacrifice that you've put in to prepare to play football, and then when you get hurt, it gets taken away from you, and everybody can relate with that. You went through this before, though. When you're at UCLA, you tore your ACL in your other knee. Right?
Yeah.
So you kind of knew what to expect in terms of the process. This wasn't kind of like uncharted waters. You knew what you were getting into here.
Yeah. It's funny because I was talking to Max today about it. He had a friend that tore his knee and just never came back. And I was telling him, like, it's sad that it's kind of got normal to me of getting hurt and coming back kind of better. You know what I'm saying? And not be like, dang, he got hurt. He's never going to play again. So like I told you before, I've been through it. It's crazy. Kind of the same situation where I'm just wrong place, wrong time. Somebody rolls into my knee and it goes, It's part of the sport. I signed up for it. But, yeah, knowing the way the process is, it helped a little bit. But, again, you have different hurdles. It's a different race. You know what I'm saying? So I do know the way the progress is going to be as far as, like, the timetable of by this many weeks or this many months I should be doing X, Y, and Z. But, I mean, the knees are different. You know, this one, certain issues with the patella or the quad is not firing how I want it to. And it's crazy because I've been hurt so many times in this that I kind of know something's not right. Or I tell the trainer, I need this today. You know, I need this and that or things like that. But I think mentally it helped me because I know I can do it, you know.
I'll tell you one thing from someone who tore his ACL. Do whatever you got to do, rehab. Make sure that you get as much work as you can because it will creep up to you when you get older. That's, I need two knee replacements, so I'm telling you from experience.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of that, but I'll worry about that later.
Yeah, I'll worry about that later. Hey, one of the things when you got back in the game, I mean, I know that, you know, it's something that's in your head. But how long was it in your head? Was it in your head maybe the first series or first couple of plays, and then after that you're just like back to playing football?
I mean, I think people are hyping it up more than I was in my head.
Yeah.
Of course, first, I get anxious anytime I play, whether it's, you know, any sport. Like, that's just the way. If I care, I'm going to have a little bit of good anxiety. You know what I'm saying? So
football, Foursquare, whatever.
Yeah, Foursquare. I was playing ping pong today.
It's ping pong.
Oh, is it ping pong now?
Ping pong today. And I was like, I hope I'm good, you know? But, I mean, yeah, first play – after that, I was good.
Yeah.
You know, so
good.
It's ball.
Josh, when it comes to the big moment and playing a football game again for the first time in 1 year, we at the BC Lions last year, we got a pretty behind-the-curtain look with a guy like TJ Lee. And when speaking with him, we were, documenting his Achilles recovery. And he had dates in mind where at first it was a watermelon smash that he wanted to come back, and then it was the Calgary game. And that kind of gave us a bit of a heads up for documenting him. But was the Montreal game, was that always in your mind, or when did you realistically think you're ready, or just whenever you're ready kind of thing?
I mean, it was kind of whenever I was ready and whenever they weren't rushing me. If I could have rushed and probably played earlier but not have been 100%, I would say. So even going into camp, I didn't really know. I wanted to see how the doc felt about it. He was like, we could try to push for the first game, but I don't know. I had to brace it up and, like, you have to be, you know, kind of not hobbling, but you won't be free. But he was like, definitely either mid-June, mid-July. So I was preparing, like, if I was going to play whenever. I just knew week by week. When I showed up for day one, that's when I would kind of know if I was up or not. But I got the heads up. Coach Benny and RP talked to me before last week and was like, let's do it. And I was like, yeah, let's go.
And even in Kamloops, too, every single day it was you and Adam LeClaire, a new linebacker on this team. What was he – I know it was different injuries, but you guys working together, getting to know each other, same position, that all helped, too. And especially even the guy like Micah, too, joining this group and being a leader. Like, the whole new linebacker room, how did that all help you?
Yeah, I would say having Adam was huge. We met a few times before, but we never – you know what I'm saying? And – just working with Tanner Kerr, like, we were together, every day. And we really built a bond, and it was good to, you know, get through things like that, have something like that. As far as the room, this is the most vet-savvy, I'd say, room. I think we're the deepest and best room in the league. As far as we've had, I think, at least 6 guys that have started games this league, and it's for 2 spots. So in a room that we haven't had as much vet leadership in the past years, I think it's good having, you know, the best that we do now, because you get different perspectives of guys that have come from so many different coaching backgrounds that have been taught different ways. So when we're all together and we're discussing how a play should be, I'm getting, Micah thinks this way, I think this way, Ben thinks this way, Adam Konar, Messam, and then you have a guy like our young guys, like Jeremy Lewis has an opinion, D. Rich has an opinion, and it's cool because we sort things out together, and it's good because, sometimes you end up in times in the past, it's been kind of like a vacuum where it's like, some guys had so much faith in what I thought that they thought I was right every time. And sometimes I'm like, no, I need somebody to tell me if I'm wrong and have that accountability as far as like, nah, maybe you could do it this way or that way. So, I mean, it's been good. And I think chemistry-wise, like, we're building. Like, I'm just getting back. So there was things that, me and Micah discussing even on the field, like, let's play it like this, let's play it like that. Ben, of course, like, me and Ben know each other like the back of our hands. So it's like, it's easy when I'm in, with Ben because it's like, I know how he plays. He knows how I play, and we have that. But just continue building with the other guys in the room, I think has been really good.
Well, you look at that linebacking core, one of the things that's really impressed me with Mike Goway going back to training camp is how much of a leadership role he's taken this time around. Working with Devin Richardson or Jeremy Lewis after practice every day, talking about things. And, you talk about the depth. I think Devin Richardson could be a player. Jeremy Lewis could be a player once he comes back. You do have a lot of depth. But the other thing I want to touch on, too, is you have a new linebacker coach in Glenn Young. And, talking to him at the start of the year when he was at training camp, he was like, I'm not a big fan of camp. He goes, he likes teaching PhD stuff. Training camp was kind of like kindergarten. You know where I'm going with that?
And he was very honest and upfront. I don't think we ever had a coach that would say something like that. Because usually, you go to training camp and coaches act like they love training camp, they love the dog days. But he's a former player, so he's being honest. Like, I don't like camp. I'm gonna be honest and tell y'all how I feel every day. And when the season comes, that's what I love. But even with him, we're growing in a relationship with him as far as understanding the way he wants us to play, understanding the way he coaches, and even from Indy, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Where he will talk to us, even when I was coming back from, starting to ramp it up in practice, he'd ask me how I felt about Indy, things that I would like to do, things that I wouldn't like to do. So it's good to be, transparent with him.
A couple more minutes with linebacker Josh Woods and Nathan Rourke to join us here momentarily. Edmonton this week, new week, new challenge, a bit of a different week, a longer one. Day one of the practice week is Wednesday. What are your thoughts on facing Trey Ford, a fellow that this team has had success with in prior meetings?
Yeah, Trey's electric. I think even more just their run game with ranking in league is really impressive. They kind of have a thunder and lightning approach, but Rankin got some speed on him. He had that big run last week.
Huge, yeah.
It's just going to be really important for us to play gap sound and play team defense to stop the run and kind of force Trey to make those throws. We kind of know Jordan's offense a little bit, which I think helps us, but the biggest thing is definitely be stopping the run.
Josh, I wanted to ask you about this. So the fourth quarter last game, I know you got 20 defensive snaps kind of?
Yeah, something like that.
But the fourth quarter, I saw this personnel where it was you, Ben, Micah, and Deontay as 4 linebackers. Ronald Kent came off. Jalen Edwards-Cooper moved from the boundary halfback to the field halfback. And I was before the play, I'm like, whoa, this is a crazy kind of personnel. So I'm going to kind of spin this into a question about Mike Benavides and how exciting is it to, that was a way that I saw that. I was I didn't even think about deploying the linebackers like that. But how exciting is it that Benny and even maybe Glenn Young or RP or whomever are thinking about deploying you guys like that?
When we dress, I think, 7, 8 linebackers, and we have, like I said, we have 6 guys that have started in this league, not just played, started a linebacker in the CFL. Why wouldn't you use us all? You know what I'm saying? And there's one point in camp where Coach Benny tried to make a defense with 10 linebackers. He's just thinking how can I use everybody? And I love it, especially as a linebacker. I want more of us on the field. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to find a ways that we could put 5, 6 of us on there somehow. So I appreciate the fact that he's even thinking of us as linebackers is how can I use him? How can I use him? I love that.
Well, the thing is too, when you run personnel packages like that, it confuses the offense sometimes because they're looking at numbers and not necessarily positions, right? Mm-hmm. So, you look at a guy like Jeremy Lewis, you could line him up off the edge, and they're thinking, it's a linebacker. No, Jeremy Lewis is going to play defensive end on this play, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe you have somebody else that, maybe drops off and plays a half or a third or whatever the case may be in zone. So it's a situation where if you have guys with a lot of skill sets and are diverse athletes and understand concepts, you can do a lot of different things with those guys.
Yeah, and I always say, linebackers we have the hardest in the way that we have to play the run and the pass. So we're a lot of times able to do a lot of different things. So, there's times where Ben's going to be at half. I'm going to be kind of at nickel. You have Micah blitzing off the edge. You know what I'm saying? Where you could kind of spin and use this anywhere. And Benny is kind of like a mad scientist in the way that he's going to try to find ways to use us all.
All right, sir, welcome back. Welcome back to the lineup. Welcome back to the media rotation. I know some of the guys were heckling you when you did some media last week.
Dude's a podcaster.
He is.
He could just take over for you next segment.
Yeah.
Get a plug-in for your podcast on Believe.
Oh, yeah, shout out to Believe UCLA Football. Definitely will be amping it up in the next month or so as college football kicks off, with training camp and with the season going. So, tap into that on everywhere you get your podcast.
There you go.
Keep up the good work. Josh Woods joining us here at Goodco Granville. Nathan Rourke in a matter of moments on First and Now.
BC Lions versus Rough Riders. Saturday, July 19th at 4 p.m. It's the biggest rivalry party of the year with the Watermelon Smash on Terry Fox Plaza. Tickets start at just $19 at bclions.com.
You're listening to more of First and Now, presented by Coors Light. Once again, here are Nick Kowalski, Bob Marjanovic, and Matt Baker.
Back at Goodco Granville, First and Now. Matt Baker alongside Moj and Kowalski, recapping a win in Montreal. Was hot in Montreal, fellas. Probably our hottest game of the year, weather-wise.
We got out of Dodge just in time because Mr. Kowalski over there was doing the romantic weekend for two in Montreal.
He was,
significant other, and apparently, downpours Sunday, like rain all the way Sunday, Monday?
Oh yeah, we were walking around Little Portugal there yesterday, which is weird saying, and we called an Uber. We couldn't do it anymore. Got soaked, didn't have an umbrella. I was telling Nathan this today. I have never ever filmed a rain game in 4 years now here. I think we're due for one.
You might get your wish this weekend,
yeah.
big fella. Look at the forecast.
You can confirm with Liam. The last couple of weeks, every week I've been saying, "Oh no, we're going to get a thunderstorm," and then it's been sunny.
Weren't you with us? That was 2021 in Ottawa.
I was talking to Nathan about it today. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Speaking into existence, though. Now you're saying you're putting it out there.
I'd rather a snow game, but obviously we're in a dome, so that can't work. So maybe the Grey Cup.
One game at a time, sir.
Yeah, yes.
Nathan Rourke joins us now, fresh off his own return to the lineup. And let's just continue there. The worst weather you ever played in, was that at Ohio? Had to have been.
Yeah, oh yeah. At Ohio, 2019, played at Ball State, Indiana. It was just around freezing, just above freezing, but it was raining, so you were wet and cold. Couldn't throw the ball at all. It was a freezing one. That's like the worst combination in my book.
No, that's, again, like Nick said, hopefully we're in the clear here for a while. Anyway, 21-20 win at the Alouettes. We've been breaking it down here tonight. I know everyone was in on Monday for rundown and some film study. You were in with the coaches today, as always. Upon review, what do you see? What do you like about your return and the win?
Yeah, I mean, did some good things out there. Was able to, move the ball in a very good defense. I mean, they've been leading the league in interceptions. I think sacks as well.
Yep.
They were big on that and tip balls and very very good defense, very well coached, and I think we did a good job moving the ball. We just got to be a little bit more consistent. Can't turn the ball over. But ultimately, we made plays when it mattered, and ended up having a game-winning drive, which is always fun to be a part of. So glad that we were able to do that.
You look at that game, and I was talking about this in the first segment. I'm sure you were listening when we're talking about the process, right? I mean, a lot of good things, but there's a lot of things that you got to clean up in details and continually improve. Have you noticed that as much as I have this year with Buck really focusing on the process and not looking at the results, perhaps? I mean, yeah, you do look at the results. Let me rephrase that. But at the same time, it's about the process, because if you follow the process, you will get the results.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great way of looking at success, is not necessarily looking at the outcome, but it's looking at the process. And he's big on that, and I think that's a great way of looking at it. I think that's the way that the approach I've been taking as well, is trying to figure out how to learn each week, how to take something from each week, every game plan, every install. When you focus on those things, you focus on your preparation. I think ultimately, the score will take care of itself.
When I look at this team, and I've harped on this since training camp, I truly believe it's getting better and better as the season progresses. I don't want to put a number on it, but man, if you're talking on a scale of 10 and this team can operate at a 9, it might be maybe about a 4.5 or a 5 right now in terms of the efficiency. Would you kind of agree with that, in the sense that it's the tip of the iceberg with the talent that you have?
Yeah, I certainly think that we're just getting started. I think that's what's exciting about it, I think I said this early. I think I said this in training camp in Kamloops when we were talking on the radio. I think we're less concerned this year about, at least I am, about starting fast. We've had a number of seasons the last couple of years where we've had just really good starts, hasn't been able to finish late, and we're focusing on building here and earlier in the season, trying to figure out who we are as a team. going through the growing pains of learning the offense, having new coordinators, different people in the building, and because we're confident that we'll be peaking at the right time, and that's what we're really focused on.
Nathan, I think a big storyline that started to break out during training camp and the difference between 2025 and 2024 is that you were taking things a lot less seriously. You were having a lot more fun, a lot more easygoing, all those things. When it comes to, I was looking back at the footage that we took on Saturday in Montreal, and the Sean White walk-off field goal, I think you're jumping up and you're hugging Chase Bryce and everything, there's that great clip of you, too, on the TSN interview where you talk about the CFL is built for comebacks. In 2025, Nathan Rourke, how much fun are you having right now playing football, especially in those crazy games like that?
Yeah, having a lot more fun now that I'm back from the injury. Injury kind of sucks that back out of you, but it's been fun to be here. I love the CFL. I'm so happy to be back. I had some dark times in the NFL, but I'm back here in the CFL, and I'm very, very excited to be back, and I'm just enjoying it because I know what's on the other side of the possibility of not playing, and I'm just enjoying playing and being with these guys and playing for this organization.
And back me up here, that 12-yard run on the first play of the game, did that remove any jitters or concerns you had if you were oblique, or should I just take a lap like most days?
I felt pretty good on day 3, so I really didn't
Okay.
think that I had too many reservations, but you never really know until you get hit, and so doing short yardage obviously got a fair amount of that experience.
Hey, your wife Emily was in attendance. Of course, the likes of Christophe Beaulieu, Matthew Betts. We had our whole cheering section behind the bench there. That's become quite a thing every year. How fun is that to be a part of the traveling family roadshow, if you will?
Yeah, it's awesome. I really appreciate obviously always having people there and being able to look up in the stands. You see some orange, right? In an environment like Montreal, especially when you have the environment, the crowd noise. And you're able to have some for the Lions. That's always really nice to see. And so it's been cool. I think Emily's been really working hard to connect the rest of the partners and to do things outside of football and to have familiar faces in the stands to be able to watch games with. I think that's cool and part of the culture they're trying to build there.
I was going to touch on this on the start too when you talk about the last drive there, and that stadium was packed and it was loud. I'm sure it was no easy environment for you to work in.
Yeah.
But are you noticing that? Because there's even like a moment in the start of the fourth quarter, and I think this is a tradition at Molson Stadium, but they all get like their flashlights out, and I think they had like Tremor by Martin Garrix blasting and everything, and it's just like it's a crazy environment for the CFL. But when you're in the huddle, are you looking at that, or are you just like totally locked in?
No, I'm locked in and usually yelling at the top of my lungs, even in the huddle, right? So usually in games like that, you're trying to not to lose your voice. It's almost like we're playing a Western game, playing against the Bombers or the Rough Riders, right? So it's one of those games where you're expecting to lose your voice in the end of the game, but it's such a fun place to play at McGill, and one of my favorites personally. And the fans there are awesome, and it's even better to come out of there with a win.
Yeah, that's the thing about Montreal. Julie and I were talking about it before the game. You're changing in a broom closet. The amenities there are like very, very poor. The concourse is, I think, 6 feet wide, and there's like 2 washrooms for the entire stadium. I know you're not familiar with that. I was doing the sidelines, but it's interesting because you look at everything and you kind of go, no. And then when you add it all up into a game atmosphere, you go, yeah, it's a great place to play. I mean, when you're in the press box, obviously you guys don't see this. You get a beautiful vista of downtown Montreal. You see the Jacques Cartier Bridge. And then, the atmosphere there, I don't know what it is, but they just make it so special. It's not a vanilla stadium by any means.
No, it isn't. And we were lucky enough this year to be in Montreal for the Jazz Festival as well, so that was nice.
I think Kowalski checked that out. You didn't.
By accident.
I saw your Instagram there.
I stumbled upon it.
That's why you stayed a couple more days, right?
Yeah, well, just to explore the city too. Looking ahead, Nathan, we had a little chat about this today. I know you said maybe we should stop, making some bold statements with the "we don't lose" here in Montreal. But I have to make another one. I do work in the marketing department.
Okay.
You've had quite a time against the Edmonton Elks in your career. And does that factor over, or are you taking it game by game, or how do you view all that?
Yeah, trying to take it day by day, game by game. I think, even you look at, since I've been here, the amount of coordinators that they've had, defensive coordinators, the changes in their personnel, it's really a different team than it has been. Some people that carry over, right? I think Jake Seresno's been on a couple iterations, right? But they're a very good team, just coming off a big win. You look at their roster. They're very, very talented, and I think they're just getting better every week. So we have to keep getting better ourselves to keep up with them.
Big opportunity, right? A chance to wrap up the season series, create more breathing room. Not sure how much you think about that in the moment, but if the job gets done, then that'll be a big benefit, a chance to sort of stay in this Western log jam even closer, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big couple games, not to look past Edmonton, but we've got 2 big West games here coming up, and especially the way that we've started the season, these mean a little bit more to us. So we'll focus this week on Edmonton and taking care of business on the road, and hopefully we can just keep building from what happened just this past week in Montreal.
Where are you guys in terms of the playbook? It's a new system. Buck Pierce comes over with his playbook, and to learn all the vernaculars. But I imagine you've got the foundation down pat. But now it's those little things, those details that you're trying to incorporate into your game. How much more growth do you have left in terms of the playbook and what you do on offense?
Yeah, I think we still have a good amount to, like you said, there's the details, right? Yeah. I think we have the foundation. I think it's a good way of putting it. We have the foundation down, but there's some certain things that the wrinkles or the details that you need to iron out against other teams. It comes up throughout the week of the duration of the season, and that's the growing pains that I mentioned. Like, we're gonna have to go through some things where we're changing things, we're making mistakes, and we're learning from them. I think we're at that stage as an offense right now, and we just got to be able to take those things in stride, be able to adjust on the fly, and I think that we're in a very good position to do just that. Well,
I think the cool thing too is as this season progresses, you're going to see a lot more progression as well, I imagine, because you run a certain formation or a certain play out of that formation, and let's do this little twist, right? Instead of faking the jet sweep, we're actually going to run the jet sweep out of this formation or whatever. And I think that's probably the thing that gets a lot of players excited, is the fact that you're always kind of continuously growing and learning with the offense.
Yeah, I mean, and the funny thing about this offense, right, is they've that Buck's been in it for such a long time that there's only so many wrinkles I feel like you can come up with. He's done it. He's back in 16 we were doing this, and we've done it this way, and I try to pitch him something that I've done in the last couple of years, but I don't have the same experience has, right? So, we did it this way, and we've done it this way, and this is what happened, and so to me that's just fun as a player to be able to learn from someone like that. So, but yeah, there's obviously with our personnel, the offense has to fit our personnel, right? So we're adjusting things obviously to that, and defenses are evolving as well, so we have to catch up in that way. Let
me throw this one to you, because I know this from a defensive side. You run certain blitz packages, certain things on defense when you're coaching or even when you're playing. Especially when you're playing, and you never run it during the game, right? You're like, damn, we're not running.
Yeah, that linebacker thing that Josh was saying, they never ran that in camp. I've never seen that, but I would love to see it. And we're running verts on your butt.
Yeah. But, the thing is, I imagine there's certain things in your playbook that you still haven't touched on, right? And you're just kind of I want to run this play, coach.
Yeah, there'll probably be something that we'll bring out at some point that will look real fancy and got all the little bows, bells and whistles on it, yeah. And you guys will be asking, we'll be like, hey, we've been running that every day in practice for the last 5 weeks or 10 weeks or whatever it's been, and we're just running it now. So that's always what happens on offense. So, yeah.
All right, well said. Welcome back to the lineup, and on to Edmonton. We look forward to it. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Nathan.
All right, Nathan Rourke on first and now. We'll wrap it up with a little trivia and a very special announcement for the July 19th Watermelon Smash is coming up.
This is First and Now, presented by Coors Light, the chill choice and official beer of the BC Lions. Now it's time for Nick Kowalski's world-famous trivia.
Yes, Kowalski has cooked up another good game in just a few seconds. It is First and Now, and we're excited to announce that our Watermelon Smash is back for a third year, Saturday, July 19th. And we're announcing right now that the Upper Bowl is open. So another solid crowd expected. July 19th, 4 o'clock. Adult tickets start at $19. Backyard party at noon. $5 Molson Coors products. and all kinds of fun games. Dwayne Vanneau will be out there eating and smashing watermelons, I think. And it's going to be good. Upper Bowl is open. We're the first to tell you. So there you go.
Love to hear it.
Great stuff.
Yes. Lions 2-0 in the Watermelon Smash, by the way. So.
Yeah, but these big games, the concert kickoff 3-0.
Gravy Bowl, we're 1-1.
Yeah.
But yeah, you catch my drift.
Well, could have changed something. We've learned from it, as we saw with Javon Catoy.
Yes.
But yeah, Edmonton this week, as we talked about a bit, a certain Canadian quarterback by the name of Nathan Rourke. He's had a lot of success against the Edmonton Elks. So I'm gonna quiz you guys on how much success Nathan has had. We'll give you a bit of a warm-up question. When was Nathan Rourke's first trip to Commonwealth Stadium?
That would have been in 2024. No.
The other month, 2025. Nathan Rourke had never been in Commonwealth Stadium.
Oh, I'm thinking of Saskatchewan.
He signed here again after we were there, right after we were there.
All right, you guys are warmed up here.
Okay, there we go.
All right, Nathan Rourke's career completion percentage against the Edmonton Elks. He's played 4 games for
27.3%. I'm just kidding.
Percentage? 81.4%.
What do you got, Moj?
I'll go with 78.7.
I'm going to allow you, Kate, we'll get a rule here. You guys are allowed to go over. Baker went over, but he's closer. It's 80.8%.
Yeah, I just helped out with the graphic for this like 3 weeks ago.
I was off by 2 points.
How about this? Nathan Rourke's total yards per game against the Edmonton Elks.
Passing?
How many
total
games?
yards in 4 starts. Total yards per game.
368.
I'm going to go 313.
Guys, it's ridiculous. It's 408 yards per game, so that's a standard here. Okay, we're done. We're done talking about Nathan for a bit. I know he probably hates this. Nathan Rourke's first touchdown pass against the Edmonton Elks. Who was it to?
Ooh. Brian Burnham?
What do you got, Moj?
Dom Rhymes.
Baker, Brian Burnham is the correct answer.
Last game of the 2021 season, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Who has the most touchdown passes from Nathan Rourke against the Edmonton Elks?
Against the Edmonton Elks.
Yep.
I'm going to go Brian Burnham.
I have to go something else now. Lucky Whitehead?
I'll give you guys a hint on this too. There are no repeat answers. So Burnham's off the chart. You guys are both wrong. It is D. Rhymes. He had 3 touchdowns in that one August game. How about this? The longest pass Nathan Rourke has thrown was a 69-yarder back in August in 2022. Who was it to?
No repeat answers, right?
Lucky Whitehead.
That's probably a good contender, but 2022.
Well, you can say the same answer.
Lucky Whitehead.
It is Lucky Whitehead.
Yeah.
That's when Chris Jones is playing all that cover 0, and Nathan Rourke hit Lucky for a 69-yard touchdown. How about this one? The most receptions from Nathan Rourke against the Edmonton Elks.
The most receptions from Nathan Rourke against the Edmonton Elks.
Keon Hatcher.
It's no repeat answers, right?
Yeah, and Keon Hatcher is incorrect.
Lamar Durant.
That's a bad guess, Baker. Come on. It is James Butler with 19.
Oh, okay.
Remember James Butler had 4 touchdowns that one game?
Week 1.
Yeah, but James Butler has caught a lot. How about this? How much time we got left? We got a couple minutes?
2 minutes.
Let's go.
Or less.
So we'll keep Nathan Rourke off the high horse here. He has thrown 2 interceptions against the Edmonton Elks. Do you guys remember who they were to?
No.
Morgan.
Niles Morgan? Incorrect. Got a guess?
I don't. Just roll it through.
Aaron Grimes got Nathan Rourke, and then Keyshawn Beria. I don't know if Nathan even remembers this guy.
I only remember the good things.
Grimes is their DB coach now.
Yeah, exactly. So
good dude. Really good guy. Really good guy. We had him here for a bit too.
All right. Name the 3 opposite starting quarterbacks against Nathan Rourke for Edmonton.
Okay.
Ford, Bethel Thompson.
Nick Arbuckle.
That's correct. 2022 home opener.
Trevor Harris?
Nope.
No.
Ford?
Nope. Ford, this year, yeah. So that's 2. And then you got 1 more.
So Arbuckle, Ford, and Taylor Cornelius.
Taylor Cornelius.
Yeah.
Iconic career from Taylor.
There was a crazy thing, not to get off, there was like 8 straight Lions-Edmonton matchups where each team had a different starting quarterback.
That's why I wanted to answer.
Yeah.
There was like Logan Kilgore and Dakota
Riley, Danny O'Brien, I think, at one point. Yeah.
All right, last question here. We pulled one Nathan Rourke, and this was his answer. Nathan Rourke's favorite concert opener the last 4 years. I actually asked him this. What do you guys think it was?
Snoop Dogg.
One Republic.
Baker is correct. Nathan Rourke said One Republic as his favorite concert opener. So there you go. I think Baker is the winner of this one.
Well, we both did good. That was
modern stuff. I'm only good from like 1980 to like 1968 or something.
Ask him about the Shrum Bowl in '78, and I'm out of here.
Talk to me about
done.
Don Moorhead and Pete Oler.
Yeah.
There you go.
Very good. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you to everyone here at Goodco Granville. Jason and company, some great specials here on Tuesdays. The $4 Coors Light, $17 Smash Burgers. And we'll be back on location next month in August. More on that to follow. First and Now comes to a conclusion. Thanks to everyone, especially you, the listeners, for tuning in on 730 CKNW.
Celebrate football, family, and tradition. Join Sunday, July 27th for the BC Lions Family Traditions Game at BC Place against the Ticats. Free family portraits and tickets from just $19. Visit bclions.com.
All right, it's that time again, a little between the lines with our good friend Cam Tucker, who looks like we dragged him in off the beach. I know we're bad like that. We're interrupting guys on their family vacations. Now, where the heck are you, Cam? Are you down in Mexico? Jeez.
No, I am in the Maritimes. I am in Nova Scotia right now, where it is hot and muggy. Yeah, close. Hey, look, we've had lobster dinner. We've had some country cookouts. We spent a couple of days at the beach. And yeah, if it looks like I got some sun, that's because I have. It has been sunny and hot here this whole time that the family and I have been here. But yeah, it's been a great trip. It's been amazing. And like I said on Canada Day when I joined you guys, such nice people here in the Maritime. So it's been a lot of fun.
All right, well, let's get into it, and we won't keep you long because I know you're enjoying every day in the beautiful Maritimes. But let's start talking about the win over Montreal. Of course, everyone talking about Shaun White and Nathan Rourke, rightfully so. But a couple of interesting totals. I mean, you had Justin McInnes go over 100 yards. Stanley Berryhill, just the 4 catches, but for 85 and a touchdown. Besides that, what stood out?
Well, I think it was just the fact that the BC Lions, there were certainly a lot of things for them to clean up in their game. And the one thing that stands out in my mind is penalties, but they were able to overcome that. And for me, yeah, it was the big night by Justin McInnes. That's kind of what we are expecting from Justin McInnes, week to week, is those standout performances. And that was his best of the season. He was very good, but I think the thing that stands out for me is the fact that they showed some resolve, 28 seconds to go. You're able to drive the ball down the field, and it just shows that Nathan Rourke really is the engine of this team. He makes a couple of passes. Javon Katoy, has the awareness to catch that ball, get the first down, move the chains, but then he also goes down with 1 second left to go so that they can kick, or at least give Shaun White the chance to kick that game-winning field goal. So I think that there were a lot of things from that game where you'd want to clean up the mistakes and the penalties, but they showed a lot of resolve, and their big players had big nights. And I don't think that Nathan Rourke was playing at 100% in that game. I think that, throughout the evening, there's probably some throws that if Nathan was at 100%, he'd probably be able to make those passes. But when he is in those pressure situations, he can deliver. That's what you need from your star players. When you put the ball into the quarterback's hands late in the game to go down the field and get a game-winning drive, that's what you want. And Nathan Rourke, I think, especially in that fourth quarter, really delivered for the BC Lions. And it just, when you have Nathan Rourke in your lineup, you can't ever count this team out.
And Cam, the road show must go on. So the Lions go to Edmonton this Sunday. What are the opening lines looking like for the BC Lions at Edmonton Elks?
Yeah, so the Lions have opened as 3.5-point favorites on the road, which I thought was interesting. I mean, I think that is in some ways to be expected because Nathan Rourke has had such great success against the Edmonton Elks, in the four games that he started against Edmonton in his career with the Lions. And the Lions really have owned this matchup. They're 9-1 straight up against the Elks in the last 10 matchups. They're 8-2 against the spread. So, maybe at a first glance, it's not really surprising that they opened up as favorites on the road in this matchup, but Edmonton's coming off of that loss. Edmonton's coming off of that win against Ottawa. And they had some really good things go their way in that game. Trey Ford, I thought was efficient throwing the ball. And Justin Rankin was a beast running the ball and in the pass game as well. He was their leading receiver. So they had some good things going for them. That's a big win for Edmonton to kind of get them off of the schneid here. And, for the Lions, now it's about replicating the good things that you did in Montreal and being able to get another win here to get to the 500 mark. So the Lions opened as favorites on the road, 3.5 points. We'll see if that, switches throughout the week. And the over-under, I believe was at 51.5, which is a little bit high considering that the under has had success in this matchup in the last 7 games. It's been the over is 1-6 in the last 7 matchups between these teams. So for the Lions, they're favorites on the road. Big opportunity here, though, for them to get to 500. So I think that you're going to see 2 teams right now with some urgency. The Lions trying to get back to 500, back-to-back wins, clean up some of the things that, some of the mistakes from the game in Montreal. And for Edmonton, that was a big win against Ottawa. So they want to obviously put their best foot forward as well. And the one thing about the underdogs in last week's action, they were 3-1 against the spread, but they were also 3-1 straight up. So the underdogs kind of had the way with the matchups last weekend. We'll see if that continues into the next week as well.
All right, I think we can all agree the statement of the week in the Canadian Football League was probably Calgary laying a beat down on Winnipeg. And they go into Saskatchewan on Friday night, and they're an underdog this week, Cam. Expand on that.
Yeah, and I was just as shocked, I think, as a lot of people were in that game. I really expected Winnipeg to come out and not only get the win, but cover the spread, and that did not happen. That was not even close. Calgary Stampeders, I think, full marks for that victory. They were up big at halftime and just kind of cruised to the win. And for Vernon Adams, that was a very good performance. He didn't turn the ball over. He had 2 touchdown passes, his first 2 TD passes for the Stamps. So they looked really good against Winnipeg. But you're right, Matt, they go into this matchup with the Saskatchewan Roughriders right now as 5-point underdogs. And look, Saskatchewan is the only undefeated team left in the CFL. They're playing really good football, and they're a tough team. So I think that this is going to be a really interesting game. We'll see how it plays out. Saskatchewan, again, favored at home. The one thing about the Roughriders, they've been favored in all 4 of their matchups this year. They're 4-0 against the spread. So they've been playing really good football. We'll see if that can continue against the Stamps this week.
Yeah, Vernon Adams Jr. is definitely in his yeehaw era, as the kids would say. Cam, it's early. We're recording this on Tuesday, games on Sunday, but what are you looking at for your bet boost this week on PlayNow.com?
Yeah, I think right now we got to focus on Nathan Rourke and what he's done against the Edmonton Elks. I mean, he's feasted on this team since he took over as the starter for the Lions in the 2022 season. And, I was crunching the numbers. It's like not only is Nathan Rourke throwing the ball ridiculously well against the Elks in his career, he also has had great success running the ball. So I think that right now you kind of got to go with the hot hand in this matchup. When Nathan Rourke is behind center for the Lions, he's absolutely owned the Elks. And so we're going to focus on definitely the star quarterback for the Lions. We'll look at maybe doing some parlaying, some passing yards. I think 300 passing yards is a really good milestone for Nathan Rourke. So we'll look at that and see what his rushing numbers will be. He's had against the Elks. It's really interesting because he's had games where he's had 50 plus yards, 40 plus yards of running the football against the Elks. So we're going to look at adding that into the equation as well. And his last game, the home opener against Edmonton, we added Nathan Rourke 2+ touchdown passes into the parlay, and that hit that selection hit in week 1. And I think that we're going to probably go back to the well on that one as well. So we're going to cook this one up here. Nathan Rourke, I think he's going to be featured prominently in this parlay, but he's the one that we want to focus on for sure.
All right, my friend, well done as always, and enjoy your last few days of sun and beach time, and don't forget to reapply the sunscreen, okay?
No kidding, right? I'm trying to squeeze one more lobster dinner in this trip.
I think we're in yellow phase right now.
Have one, yeah.
It's not as red as it looks. Trust me, for the viewers out there, right now I'm in a room where the walls are like a pinkish purple. So I think that's also playing some.
There you go.
It does. Trust me. We do
not
look
as
that
red
with the
as I look.
grass. Got the green tip.
But look, you know what? That's a good tip, guys. Reapply the sunscreen for sure because it's definitely been hot here.
Have a lobster for us.
See you guys.